Ups and downs is a disease, but I'm the cure.
Who keeps messing with the ups and downs videos?
Is this that 666 boo thing?
WhatCulture took something of mine, so now I'm gonna have to take something of WhatCulture's, okay?
Hello, Simon here, currently shaving my head to be more of a bald idiot. Leave me a message.
Yeah, Simon, it's clear. I need you to call me back as soon as you get this message. It's really serious. Like, that line about WhatCulture took something from me, it makes sense, man, because it's literally... The power's gone out. Oh, hang on, look, it's back on. I'm gonna have to go sort this out, but you need to call me as soon as you get this message, man. This is... It's really bad. Bye. This is a nightmare.
Okay, you got this. Hey, you can do this. You can totally do this. No, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Black and gold, black and gold, black and gold. Yep. So in case you missed it, Adam Cleary has gone missing. He's been kidnapped apparently by this masked figure. That's what it looked like in the video. So I've been drafted in to talk about all things NXT ups and downs. I've wrote a brilliant article that will be on WhatCulture.com as well, all about it. And yeah, it's very uncertain times here at WhatCulture, or in my room right now, adjacent to WhatCulture. But without further ado, these are the NXT ups and downs for this week. So first of all, before we talk about any of the night's action, and by God, there was a lot of it, we need to talk about Kevin Owens, because this guy came in, he was drafted into commentary for one night only, taking over from Wade Barrett, who was just absent. He had stuff on. I mean, that's fair enough. People do that. He came in and he was brilliant. He offered such a unique insight into just how all the matches were playing out. He had a few little anecdotes about his own WWE career, and just his relationships with the people in the ring, like his relationships with like Kyle O'Reilly and other people. It was really refreshing, and his quips were outstanding. He kept Vic Joseph on his toes all night, and we had another little special thing that happened later on in the night involving Kevin Owens, which was equally spectacular. But I'm just going to give it an up now, straight away. Big up for Kevin Owens being on NXT. Right, so the first match we had here was Candice LeRae taking on Ember Moon. And obviously, if you watched last week's show, they had a bit of a tag match. It was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez taking on Ember Moon and nearly said Tegan Nox, not Tegan Nox, Toni Storm. They were in a match together, and at the end of that match, which Ember Moon and Toni Storm won, there was like a run-in at the end. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell beat him up and threw him back into the ring, so there's a bit of beef there straight away. So understandably, Candice LeRae spent a lot of this match trying to get away from Ember Moon because she was pissed, rightly so. But then, as things kind of settled, as the match went on, then Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai came down to the side of the ring, and they were just like swarming the ring, and it was a very intimidating atmosphere for Ember Moon in that match. Candice LeRae got into a groove. She started being quite nasty, and it was looking at a point like, oh, is she just going to beat Ember Moon clean in this match? Is that what's going to happen? But of course, there could not have been a clean finish in this match, because there was just too many heelish commodities on the outside of the ring for that to happen. So yeah, just when Ember Moon was getting up on the top rope to go for that eclipse, Indy Hartwell popped up on the side of the ring, and then Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai popped up as well, and there was like a bit of interference there. The referee was lured away to Raquel and Dakota, and then Indy Hartwell got in. She took the eclipse and then got pushed back out of the ring. Candice LeRae seized the opportunity, saw an advantage, saw an opening, and went and nailed Ember Moon with a wicked stepsister big stomp thing, which was horrible and just graphic, and Ember Moon lost. So she's now lost twice in singles matches since returning, which at first I was looking at this entire situation, I was thinking this is a down. I want Ember Moon to be just kicking ass and climbing up the rankings and everything else, if there were rankings, but something happened which changed this down into an up. Toni Storm arrived just when Ember Moon was getting absolutely obliterated by everybody. She like ran out of the ring, and it looked like those two were just going to take on the world, and I was like, oh my God, he probably still maybe get a little bit outnumbered here in this situation, but it could be quite cool. But then, just when I thought Toni Storm was thinking, this is probably a bad idea for us two, we're going to get beaten up by all these people, and she like grabbed Ember Moon, she turned on Ember Moon. She just absolutely bullied her all around the ring, and it looks like Toni Storm is now going to be joining Team Candice LeRae in her War Games team, the heelish team, and I am so down for this. My biggest problem with Toni Storm since she's returned is that she's felt a bit flat. The whole storyline's been, oh, she's a rusty babyface who just needs to kind of get back into the groove of things, and it doesn't really work after like 2 weeks. You get a bit bored of it. But now, as a heelish Toni Storm, oh, I'm so here for this. And then after War Games, I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but if there's an Io Shirai, Toni Storm feud, and Toni Storm's just being an absolute awful human being it writes itself. I am so here for this version of Toni Storm. Right, then after this we had Legado del Fantasma doing a backstage promo little segment. It's quite brief. They were all sat around in the nice armchairs drinking whiskey, talking about all the people they'd beaten up, and then they were just really, I don't know if they were bigging up or just running down Chris Kirk, who looks like the next challenger in line for Santos Escobar's Cruiserweight Championship, and it was just a bit, meh, okay, cool, new direction, I'm here for it. Back in the arena, we then had the Undisputed Era. They came down to the ring, they had a bit of a chat. They talked about how they weren't worried about Pat McAfee. They were going to absolutely batter him. Adam Cole was looking very much fired up. But the big question that a lot of us all had was who is going to be the person in this match tonight, this main event match that's going to have Pete Dunne facing off against one member of the Undisputed Era in a ladder match to decide who would have the advantage going into War Games. And you want to know who the person is? That person, because he said so and he requested it, is going to be Kyle O'Reilly, which, yeah, if you can kind of see this coming, it's going to be a hell of a brutal encounter, and my God, oh, it lived up to it. Okay, and now in one of the, well, this kind of felt like the Candice LeRae show because she popped up again here after she just had a match, and she will pop up a few more times throughout the show. But she was backstage with Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and they were talking about, oh yeah, do you want to be in my War Games team? That's what she was asking them, and they said yeah. And then she turned to like the interviewer, and she was like, yes, they're gonna be in my War Games team. That's what's gonna happen. And we've also got another member, and the camera like panned across, and it was Toni Storm. So that is confirmed. Toni Storm is Team Candice for War Games. And like I said before, really excited about what's going to happen in the match now, because that's a hell of a team, and very excited for heel Toni Storm going forward. Right, now we're going to segue into my first down, my first official down as host of NXT, and it's very upsetting this because I'm wearing his t-shirt. I'm a big fan of Timothy Thatcher, but this whole Timothy Thatcher, Tommaso Ciampa thing right now is not working. I know it's pretty early on, but for me it's just, not a fan. So Thatcher was involved in a match with Kushida, who, if you've been watching NXT over the last couple of weeks, he's been on a hell of a roll. He's just pretty much beaten everybody. And the feeling was, as soon as it became apparent that this match was going to happen, I thought, well, Thatcher's not going to come out of this very well, because he's probably going to get either beaten convincingly, or there's going to be some shenanigans, but either way, he's not going to win this match. And as soon as Tommaso Ciampa then arrived with a chair and sat down at ringside, yeah, pretty much confirmed that. The match itself was really good. It was a technical, not a masterpiece, but these dudes are two of the most technically proficient people in all of NXT. They're really brutal. There was a lot of submission, like trading of submissions and transitions, beautiful transitions on the mat that we saw throughout the match, but it was just, yeah, you had that. It was just looming over it. You just thought, this is not going to end clean. It's just not going to happen. And so in the closing stages of the match, when Timothy Thatcher was outside with Kushida, he was very clearly distracted by the dude sat there in a chair, the big bald Ciampa just there chilling, and he took his eyes off the prize literally and got thrown shoulder first into the post. Then he got back in the ring, and Kushida did the hoverboard locking in, which obviously isolates the shoulder. It's really painful, and he lost the match. And then Ciampa just looked at the camera after this and he was like, bet you want to fight me now, don't you, Thatcher? And it was a bit like, is that really how, okay, is that the way this is going to be set up? You just cost him a match by sitting there? It was weird. And the actual motivation, I think that's the thing that bothers me with this, that Ciampa's been going on for weeks and weeks saying, oh, I want to change the locker room culture, I don't like the way it is right now. And he's now chose to start this campaign, pretty much, by targeting the one person in the locker room who seems like a bit of a throwback to that era that Ciampa really loves, that kind of Harley Race, like old school guy era. Thatcher's a no-nonsense guy. He's a bit of a bully, but he's no thrills and frills and everything else. He's just somebody who likes beating people up. It isn't working for me, so if I didn't say it before, it's a down. And really quickly after this, we had a big recap of the Rhea Ripley Io Shirai match, and I wasn't here hosting, obviously last week it was Adam Cleary, so I just want to say that match was epic. It just showed all the best bits from the match and detailed how injured Rhea Ripley was, and didn't really go into detail with how battered Io Shirai was, which probably was still quite sore from it. But yeah, I just want to tip my cap to that match because it was incredible. Then after we had this like Pete Dunne backstage segment where he was like, yeah, I'm happy to take on O'Reilly, I'm going to break the Undisputed Era's spirit, which was, it was just there. It was just bigging up that main event match, which was, as I said, it's very brutal. Prepare yourselves. After this, we had the Kevin Owens show just suddenly arrived on NXT, and I've never been more excited to see the Kevin Owens show. I honestly despise it, really, when it pops up on the main roster, because it's just contrived nonsense for the most part. But here, it worked. It worked really well. And the reason it worked really well is because Kevin Owens was just allowed to be Kevin Owens. You could tell he wasn't, somebody hadn't sat next to him going, all right, Kevin, you need to say this, plug this, plug that. He just sat back in his nice leather chair and did his stuff. But I hear you asking, who was his guest for this episode, this impromptu episode of the Kevin Owens show? It was, of course, Leon Ruff, the North American champion, the biggest, my favouriteist. He's not Bianca Belair, I don't know why I'm doing this, but yeah, my favourite babyface right now on NXT, Leon Ruff, because he's just great. He popped up in his nice little shirt and jeans, trousers. He looked the part. He dressed for the occasion, like the Kevin Owens show is this really glamorous event. He was just happy to be there with his nice belt, and he put a big smile on my face. But throughout his appearance, up until this point anyway, he just seemed a bit kind of, not defeatist, but like he was just happy to be there. Like he was lucky that the actual words that had been said about him by Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest over the last couple of weeks had really got in his head, just subtly. And it was a bit like, I've overcome odds and I'm really good as a champion. Kevin Owens was like, dude, you're the champion. Pop your chin up, pop your chest out, and just hold yourself like a champion. Because if you don't do that, everyone's going to see that's a weakness. So then he got really arrogant, not arrogant, but confident, and started saying, I beat Johnny Gargano. And Kevin Owens just put his head in his hands, because of course you can't say anybody's name on WWE television, because they will then interrupt, like now. And that's what happened. There was like a weird pause, and then the music came, and it kept happening throughout this like segment. He kept going, and now, and nothing would happen. Is it that hard just to time music to a point? Of course, he mentioned Johnny Gargano, so Johnny Gargano walked on down to the ring. He started saying, no, you never beat me. You beat me because Damian Priest got involved. And of course, Damian Priest then came down to the ring, and he was like, well, no, he did beat you. And they just went back and forth for a little bit, and then Kevin Owens was like, oh, you know what's going to happen now? Well, you know what we need right now? Somebody like Teddy Long to come out and make this match official, make it a triple threat, which that's not what Teddy Long did. He made matches with The Undertaker, or he made it a tag team match. That's what he did, Kevin Owens. But sure enough, the Teddy Long type figure, William Regal of NXT, came down to the ring, and he just said, yeah, okay, triple threat match, War Games, rah, it's going to happen. I'm excited about that match. It's going to be a fun match. This segment was quite fun in itself, because Kevin Owens just absolutely ripped into WWE for doing contrived nonsense week after week after week. So get to know. Right, this is going to get a quick down now, because I'm not into these Balor backstage promos, because we've had that many of them now. I feel like all we see of Balor really is him just going, I'm the champion and I can beat anyone, and if you mess with this cat's gonna crap in your kitty litter, which is not what he said, but he said something about people playing in his kitty litter this time, and it was just, it felt so forced. And who the hell writes this stuff? My head fell off. I want my NXT champion to be on television. I want him in a feud. Obviously, if he's injured, that is what it is. But I just need something. I can't just have him backstage going, oh, War Games is going to be fun, but once you're done with War Games, don't mess with this cat or put your checkers on my chessboard. It frustrated me, so it's going to down. Then we had a promo of Shotzi apparently building a tank, which is what she does now. Okay, now this next segment, I was so praying. I was hoping. I had so much faith in the fact that Cameron Grimes was now in a match which didn't involve Dexter Lumis. There was no nonsense. There was no zombies. There was just no idiocy on the show at all. It was just Cameron Grimes, and I nearly called him Tony Atlas. It wasn't Tony Atlas. Jake Atlas in a match together, and it was looking good. Cameron Grimes got in a lot of good stuff. Jake Atlas, again, looks great every time he gets in a ring at this point, but Cameron Grimes came away with the win. He hit him with that cave-in, and I was like, yes, it was entertaining. It was a charismatic performance. Get him out of the ring now. Let's move on to something else. But no, that did not happen. Instead, Dexter Lumis did the weird Keith Lee pop-up behind you thing, and he was there when Cameron Grimes was in the corner of the ring, and then he like scared him out of the ring, played this weird video of like everything that happened in that horror match, and with a little sketch of Cameron Grimes popping up everywhere as well. And then he had a sack with him, and he pulled a strap out of his sack. That sounds okay. No, just you get what I mean. He pulled this. There was a strap, right? There was a strap involved. He threw the strap at Cameron Grimes. Okay. Then Cameron Grimes looked at the strap and no, I don't want any part of that strap. And then scurried off. And then we just got Dexter Lumis like, Obviously, this all made sense when we went backstage, because Cameron Grimes was like, oh, I'm not scared of that man, Dexter Lumis, he did not scare me at all. And then Reilly Regal was like, well, he will scare you because you're going to have a match, a strap match at War Games. And no, I don't want this. We've had the gimmick match. It was awful. It was the blindfold thing. It was last week. It was literally last week. But no, they are not giving up on this just yet. It's going to have a blow-off at TakeOver. Just grit your teeth and get through it. It will be over after TakeOver. Please let this be over after TakeOver. Down. Right, and one of the biggest things that was like the through line going through this NXT was that Rhea Ripley had a big announcement. She was going to address the rumors about her future. Obviously, if you've been on the internet over the last week, you would have heard that a lot of people have been suggesting that Ripley may now finally be moving on up to the main roster to be absolutely underutilized on Raw and SmackDown. But no, she is not. She is officially staying on NXT. That was her announcement. She got in the ring, she said it. But then Candice LeRae popped up with a posse of pricks, really, for want of a better phrase. And she said, you never put your money where your mouth is. You'd never follow through on the things you say, Rhea Ripley. And, well, we're going to beat you up just like we've just beaten up Io Shirai. And then Raquel Gonzalez came out with Io Shirai over her arm like a dead carcass and just put her on the ramp like, oh, this is what you're in for. And then it looked like Rhea Ripley was going to fight everyone off single-handedly, which is never a good thing because it just makes all your heels look like goobers. But no, she didn't. She got absolutely battered in the end by the team of Toni Storm, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and Candice LeRae. And you'd think this now looks like we're heading towards Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai being parts of Team Shotzi. And we've not really had any official word on who's going to be in Shotzi's team as of yet. So it's looking like, hopefully, we're going to have Shotzi, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai. That is a team. So yeah, very excited about this match. So that is getting an up. I'm not going to spend too long on this because it just made my head completely fall off, but we had Xia Li and Boa in the back of a car. They got dropped off at a garage and there was a figure in a cloak with nice fancy nails. They were like, please forgive us. We're so sorry for what we did over the last couple of weeks. We will win in the future. She was like, nope. There's a master now. Yeah, they just said stop talking and then put a black X on both of their hands. And then it just faded to black. Not a clue. Also, in another Candice LeRae pop-up segment thing, she was backstage. She was talking to the Mackenzie Mitchell. She was like having a chat with her. And she was like, yeah, well, next week we're going to have Raquel Gonzalez and Shotzi. They're going to fight. And whoever wins that one gets the advantage for War Games, which is great because it's kind of similar to what has gone on with the men's at the end of this show. So that made a lot of sense. And then Johnny Gargano seemed to distract the interviewer for a while. And Candice LeRae put Indy in the back of the car, and then the ghost face popped up again. And as the car was pulling away, you could tell that Indy was next to the ghost face, so there's another ghost face. There's a lot of ghost face-ness happening on NXT, so I feel like we're going to get another member now into the Gargano faction thing that's happening. Yeah, okay, cool. Right, this one's going to get a nice quick up because the grizzled young veterans are back. They interrupted a match before it even started. Ever Eyes were going to be against somebody. I completely missed if somebody else actually did come down to the ring, but they got battered. They got absolutely obliterated by the grizzled young veterans, who then just started letting everyone know what they're all about. Zach Gibson was like, see, we're going to be seen as the absolute number one in NXT, and I hope the belts get put on them very soon, because they are just incredible. They're the best. They just batter people for a living, and they're from Liverpool. What do you want? And now we have made it to the main event. It is the big one. It is Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly in a ladder match to decide who will get the advantage at War Games. And it was great. It was exactly what you wanted it to be. This match was just brutal. I also like the addition of having the teams in like cages watching over the match. Like, oh my god, there's a real stakes involved. You just added to the whole main event atmosphere. But this was gruesome at times. There was a suplex onto a ladder outside which made my skin crawl. I felt sick when I saw it because the snap and everything. And there was like a tug of war bit where they were both in between a ladder yanking at each other, and like Kevin Owens was giggling with glee because it was so brutal, and I was like, yeah, I agree, this is insane. But in the end, just when it looked like Pete Dunne had the victory, because he did like a weird mangled bitter end over the top of the barricade, which didn't really work, but still it looked gruesome for what it was. And then he climbed the ladder. He then got knocked off the ladder by Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly looked like he was finally going to get the briefcase that was hanging above the ring, and then another masked figure popped up in a nice steel mask this time, not the ghost face, a different mask, and pushed Kyle O'Reilly off the top of the ladder. And then Pete Dunne got the briefcase. So the heels, the villains, have the advantage going into War Games, which is probably the best outcome, really, because you love your baby faces to have a big mountain to overcome. And I guess the steel mask person is probably Pat McAfee. Like, he's done it in the past, or is that a bit too obvious of a giveaway? Like, because he had the weird pointy nose mask last time, which again was silver, if I remember correctly. Not sure, we'll probably find that out next week, but this match gets a massive up because it was great. So they have been your ups and downs for NXT this week, and there was a lot of masked figures. I don't get what it is right now with people in masks. There's just... wrestling seems to have a bit of an addiction, doesn't it? But let me know what you think of all of these events that unfolded on this week's episode of NXT. It was a hell of an episode. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And if you've got any information on our dear friend Adam Cleary and his whereabouts right now, then please do get in touch with WhatCulture. Go on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Let us know if you've seen anything of him, because we're all worried about him here. Obviously, I'm here now and I have to do my job just to fill in and try and fill in the huge shoes that are the Clearing Meister and everything that he did for this show. And yeah, I'm gonna do all I can to keep the NXT train rolling. I have been Gareth from WhatCulture Wrestling. Do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button, and I will see you very, very soon.